and we saw tremendous restraint overall from the NYPD. There are always going to be some incidents we don't like, and I'm going to speak about that as well. But when you composite the whole day, thousands upon thousands of officers in ever-changing situation, I saw a lot of restraint under very, very difficult circumstances. And I'm going to keep saying to anyone who is protesting for change, do not take your anger out at the individual officer in front of you, that man or woman who is simply trying to keep the peace.
So what you just saw there was New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio lying to you in a press conference by saying that the NYPD is acting with quote-unquote tremendous restraint during these protests in honor of George Floyd, in solidarity with George Floyd. That's not true. The New York City police and police all across the United States are not acting with restraint. More often than not, far more often than not, they are the ones that are instigating and escalating tensions with the peaceful protesters. The vast majority of them are peaceful, and then the police, law enforcement, whether uniformed or ununiformed, are the ones escalating, are the ones creating all of this discord, or the vast majority of it. Jordan All on Twitter, I won't replay it here, has a fantastic video. It's about 2 minutes long, a little bit longer. And what it shows is dozens of instances, including clips from New York, at least a couple, but also from other cities, of police being the ones to instigate and escalate. They are not showing restraint. Or if this is considered restraint, then I am terrified, because I would hate to see what an unrestrained police force in New York look like. If Bill de Blasio thinks the police here are holding back, my God, I hope we don't see them unleashed. This is unacceptable. In that clip, there's a very clear instance of two police cruisers trying to drive through the street, and there's clear open space behind them. They come up to a group of peaceful protesters and try to go over them. Those protesters were not doing anything wrong. The police acted totally inappropriately there and put at risk the lives of innocent protesters. Unacceptable action, and that likely wasn't the worst nor the only instance we've seen from the NYPD during this protest, during the past few days. And of course, we know how the police have often acted in response to racial justice and in response to protests around the pursuit of racial justice. It's very odd for me to see this because, Bill de Blasio was a Bernie Sanders backer. He was somebody that took the right position when most Democrats stood with the corporate wing. But even quote-unquote progressive mayors are bending over backwards to defend the indefensible. And it's unacceptable, and it really shows why voting isn't enough. Voting's important. You should vote. You should always vote. And you should vote for the best option available to you. But voting isn't everything. There are cities with Democratic mayors, states with Democratic governors, states with Democratic senators. And until 2016, we had a Democratic president. And many of these things were still happening. In some cases, just as egregious. And so the reality is that even when you vote all the right people in, even when you vote in progressive Democrats, not even corporate Democrats, but people that are seen as on the left of the Democratic Party, you still get these actions from police officers disregarding the fundamental human rights and dignity and safety of citizens, especially poor and minority citizens. That's what you're seeing. And Bill de Blasio bending over backwards for them is so sad. Ben Dixon, who has been one of the leaders in covering this story, on social media, on his podcast, do check him out. He said on Twitter yesterday that these mayors know they're terrified of their own police. These press conferences may as well be hostage videos. Basically, what he's saying is, all of these mayors, even if they wanted to call out the police, I'm sure a lot of them love standing with the police. They actually don't support the protesters at all. But it seems like the way they're talking, that they're afraid of the people that are there to be serving the public. These people are hired and paid well in many cases to protect and serve. But they're not protecting and serving the people. Not in the vast majority of cases. If anything, they're protecting and serving systems of reaction, of injustice. They might be protecting the buildings of the rich and wealthy and well-connected, but they're certainly not protecting working class, poor, black, indigenous, racialized people. They're not doing that. If anything, they're serving and protecting the forces that want to cause harm to those marginalized populations. And we're seeing it in real time. So don't buy these messages you're seeing from police chiefs, from quote-unquote progressive politicians, from mayors, whether they're Democratic mayors or Republican mayors, that the police are doing everything they can and they're being polite about it, and that, the police are just doing their job. The police are upholding a system of injustice, and whether you're a good cop or a bad cop, you're upholding that system right now. The other thing that really concerns me here is that when people like de Blasio and other mayors as well say that the police are showing restraint, not only does it scare me because, as I noted earlier, what is it going to look like if they don't? It's almost as if, he's not just praising the police, but he's sending a warning to all those who dare protest. That if we turn the taps on and we take away the tremendous restraint, then you will feel our wrath. And that's, I think, a kind of threat to regular people who are protesting peacefully, the vast majority of them. That the police right now are holding back, but they don't have to. They don't have to show tremendous restraint. Maybe we'll let them go for a little bit. So keep your backs up. You know what I mean? Like that's the narrative I'm getting here. So that's the concern I have with what we're seeing. All over the country, you're seeing that tremendous restraint means journalists getting arrested, means journalists getting accosted, means police escalating and agitating everywhere. So what is it going to look like if they stop showing that restraint?